Welcome to Dan's haunted cottage. Step inside if you dare. Well, good afternoon, lads and lasses of the YouTube nation. I hope you're all fine and dandy out there in YouTube land and everything is going swimmingly in the direction that you wish it to go in. Now, I've been asked by a subscriber if I would give or do a video on activity that I've seen and experienced right the way from, I suppose, EVPs, right the way through to the holy grail of them all, the full-bodied apparition. Now, best advantage I've always told people of getting any form of activity would be via EVPs, and that is to say recording disembodied voices on a voice recorder, which is something that we generally do. We talk out to spirit. You've probably seen it yourself. You probably know exactly what I'm on about. You may have even seen it on my channel. And then when you replay the audio, sometimes you get a reaction or an answer. Now, it may be an answer directly to the question that you've asked, or it may be an answer appertaining to where you are or what you're doing. So, for example, I've pointed to different pieces of equipment I've got whilst speaking to spirit or energies and saying, look, this does this does that. You can go close to it, it's perfectly safe. You probably heard me say that. And then on reviewing, I will have, well, what does this do? What does that do? What's this for? What's that? What's this like? Things like that. And I have had lots and lots of that. It's a bit annoying because I've already explained to them what it was. But I kind of guess, as I said before, we work on a different frequency, it's believed. So, you know, questions or answers may not come through at the direct time that you should, or they are given. So they might arrive seconds later, which is why you should, by rights, leave a good portion of time in between asking the question and then waiting for the answer to come through, which is why you'll hear me ask the question and then leave it really quiet in the hope that there'll be an answer come through at that point. And sometimes answers come through, so you had to chase the audio back because answers have come through way up that are obviously and clearly meant for a question that's been asked previously, I don't know, 5-10 minutes ago, even half an hour ago. So yeah, so it all depends, I guess, on the radio waves or the frequencies that they're on as to when it gets to them or it doesn't, and when we get answers back. So I've had lots of those. I've had things like get out of my house, I've had screams, I've had shouts, I've had clear and crisp and audible to the point where I would class them as a sort of a class A EVP, which is best you can get. So they're as clear and concise and cut to the point where, like I'm talking to you now, there's no mistaking what the answers are. There are some when they're grainy or gravelly or they're broken. Again, that could be to do with the connection that you have between this world and the spirit world. But yeah, I've had quite a real good clarity ones. I've had some where I was in Derbyshire. I had one. I was with a friend of mine. It was Dawn actually, and her and I went to this property, and we always wanted to investigate the cottage to the side of the property. There's about 3 or 4 cottages that made up a farmhouse, and there was a castle, believe it or not, or there was the remnants of a castle that was dilapidated and fell down mostly in the garden of the farm. Sorry about that, it just kicked me out there. I don't know what's going on there. But yes, anyway, we're back online. So we would speak to the energies in the adjacent cottage, and we got lots of activity. We got footsteps, we got knocks on the door, we got breathing, and this just wasn't on EVPs. This was as clear as somebody was just standing outside the door. You asked for doors to be open, they've been pushed open. We've asked for knocks and taps, we've got knocks and taps. We got a lady singing lullabies, and we sort of chased her voice all around this property, and we just couldn't, we'd find that there was giggling. So she was quite sweet. So that was one of the spirits at the property. Another one was a guy who'd we worked out. He told us that he'd been killed there, or he died there, sometime in the 40s, I think it was. And when we traced the history back, it turned out that there had been the person that had passed by. I think it was an accident on that spot in the 40s. So so we got a lot of clarification. We also did cellars there, and down in the cellar there was a load of us, and we were underneath. This is in the old cottage, and we were underneath what was a wooden floor. You could clearly hear somebody come in, and footsteps walk across the floor, walk back again, come down the steps, which were stone, into the cellar where we were. We thought it was one of our team members, and then when we looked round the corner, there was absolutely nothing in the stairwell, nothing there whatsoever. We reviewed lock-off cameras that were up above, and you could still hear the footsteps on them, but lo and behold, there wasn't anybody in that room. So that was quite a unique one. And it's a shame now. I don't know what's happened to that property. I don't know who's got it now, who's looking after it, or if they are any longer. But I don't know if we'll be able to get in there again. Certainly not as a independent and an independent and self-funded group. I don't think they'll do that anymore. But hey ho, we got to experience it. I believe it is best point. And also what happens is that I believe that when groups go in there and groups get hold of these properties and they use them for fright nights, they kind of wear down the energy, like wearing down a battery. So over the course of a year or months or what have you, they drain it. They just drain the energy out of it. So they drain the spirit, and all for the sake of the God Almighty pound, which is ridiculous, unprofessional, and definitely wrong in my opinion, and disrespectful. So that's that's the things that I've got. I said before, like I said, I picked up an apparition of a girl at the side of the road. We also picked up an apparition of a lady. We believe it was a lady. She was kind of like a shadow silhouette, and she was seen with the naked eye. And she moved from one headstone around the side of the church, and even though we followed, we couldn't find her. Now, the church that we were investigating was in Essex. Can't tell you where it was because it's still under the diocese laws, rules and regulations, and they wouldn't want anybody ghost hunting there. So we kind of got in there. We were lucky to get in there because a friend of mine was sort of a caretaker there. So so we got that there. We got footsteps in that church. So I've had lots of that. Apparitions, I've probably seen maybe 3 or 4. The one I explained was the girl by the side of the road. The second apparition I saw was the silhouette. Third apparition was at it was at a fort in Kent. Can't remember what the name of the fort was now, because there's about 5 or 6 Napoleonic defence forts there that are built on that side of the coast to protect England against invaders from France. So it was an apparition there. I was with a girl. She was running a ghost hunt. It was her company actually, and I sort of worked with her. And we were just talking, and we saw this guy. We were down in the tunnels. There's probably 5 of us, but her and I were not near, I don't know, 60, 70 feet away from the edge of the tunnel. We just saw this guy walk past, just caught him, and he looked to be in sort of period clothing, military period clothing. And this is about 2 in. So she looked at me and I looked at her, and I thought, right, okay, there's only one way in here and one way out. So what I'll do is I will run. I know, I was thinner then. I will run and I will try and catch up and see if this guy is of this world or the next. So I ran as fast as I could. As I say, I was thinner then, I was quite fit. And I got round the corner and I must have gone, I don't know, probably not, maybe quarter of a mile down into this tunnel. I would have caught up with the guy literally within a minute or 2. But I'd ran and walked about a quarter of a mile, and he wasn't there. I shouted and everything. She could hear me back where she was, because obviously it was a chamber. So it was underground and it was in chalk. as is the landscape of that part of Kent, and it was hollowed out, and so she could hear me, the team could hear me, but there was no answer from, and we believe that to be an apparition. Um, what else have I seen? I've seen a couple of other apparitions. One I'm not too sure about. I don't know. I've seen an apparition of an old guy just in the street again, just standing there, and there one minute and then gone the next. And he looked to be from, I don't know, maybe the 70s. It's hard to tell, really. I mean, people say, well, you know what, Dan, have you ever seen a spirit? And my answer is, well, have you? And they go, well, no, I haven't. I go, well, how do you know? And they say, well, no, I don't, I haven't. And I said, well, you know what? There are cases of spirits mingling with the living. There are cases with spirits um, talking, communicating with the living, that, or believed to be spirits, that were taken as ordinary people and just run-of-the-mill people to start with. And it was only on back questioning that they turned out not to be, never to be heard of, never to be seen. And even some people backed the meeting up via pictures, photos, or paintings in properties. That so it's quite weird, it's quite odd. But yes, I picked that up. I've had stuff moved quite often. I've had stuff go missing. I've had drawing on a chalkboard in a room, or drawing, it was more of a marks that were made on a chalkboard with a piece of chalk that we set up in a room, locked it off in a haunted property, in a haunted room. I've heard and seen chairs being pulled out. I had a really good one that I was doing at a pub in Essex, actually. I used to do quite a few around Essex. And this pub was at a place called Hangman's Hill. Sadly, the pub's not there any longer. But for whatever reason, nobody would use this pub. And it was in a village, and nobody really could give an answer as to why they wouldn't. They just didn't. And we spoke to a guy who was resident landlord, and he'd said that he'd taken over at just before Christmas. Two ladies wanted to get us in to check it out. They were running the pub. They wanted to get us in to check it out. They were having all sorts of activity and problems. And I know the area is well known for paranormal activity as well. And they wanted to know what was causing it, and it was freaking them out. But they ran away. They just, when we got there and eventually spoke to this guy who was taken over as the landlord, he said that they just packed up and went one day. They just don't know, no reason. They went and they never got into the pub. They left the pub game, never to work in a pub, as far as we know, ever again. He took over. He said he hadn't experienced anything there himself, and he was there alone. But in that pub, nobody was entering it. He said that Christmas Eve, nobody entered the pub, not one person. He closed it at sort of 9 o'clock. New Year's Day, he said that there was one person in the bar, had a couple of drinks and then left, or New Year's Eve night, I should say. So, pubs are rammed out. Then, you can't get in a lot of them now because you need to book it. So they were rammed out, but nobody wanted to go in this freebie pub where you didn't have to buy a ticket. All you had to do was go in and drink and enjoy yourself. Didn't want to do that. I must admit, when we got there, I didn't feel anything. You generally work, the more you do it, the more you become attuned to places that are, it's nothing mediumistic about it, but you just get a feeling for a place, and you know if it's got negative energy or there's been bad stuff going on there, or you know if it's a good place. So we did the investigation in this pub, and myself and another guy could see shadows moving around. I mean, these were like, these were proper dark silhouette shadows, and you could see them with the naked eye moving around. I don't know, maybe 15, 20 feet from us. So it was very clear, and we did think something of it. We thought, that's odd, it's unusual. There's definitely some sort of activity going on here. There's definitely something spiritual. And then I had an EM pump, which at the time was a lot of money. I think they're still quite expensive. I still use them. What they do is they pump out electromagnetic energy, and it's said to give spirits the energy to either talk, or it charges them, basically. It charges them up with energy, or move things, or knock, or tap, or do whatever you want them to, even to the point that it's been said that they can help a spirit become a full-bodied apparition so that you can see them. So this is what I use them in the hope of. Now, I did say to this spirit, look, this is what I've got, and I explained to them what I've got. I explained to them that it will not cause them any harm. It's safe to go near it. It's safe to absorb the energy for it, and it will give them strength. I said, however, I would like you to move something in this pub. So I placed this EM pump, and it was a silent one, non-vibrational, on this chair. We locked it on the chair so that it wouldn't go, it was dead level. Locked it on the chair, made sure, no vibrations, nothing moving. And then I said, whatever you do, get the energy from that, and please move something for us, or throw something. But whatever you do, don't throw that pump, because that costs me a lot of money. And I can't afford to keep buying, I'm just a poor ghost hunter, I can't afford to keep buying pumps or equipment, which was great. And we felt the energy build up, and the guy next to me, who was sitting next to me, obviously another ghost hunter, was a friend of mine, tapped me on the leg. And as I looked on the leg, you saw this pump lift, and we watched it. It was dark, but you could see it. It was right next to me. It lifted up, and it went smash. It got thrown against the bar, and it smashed into. Luckily enough, the damage was repairable, but it smashed into pieces. Batteries went everywhere. Pieces of this kit went everywhere. Pieces of this EM pump, and it was just. That was it. After that, we were getting stuff moved. Stuff behind the bar was getting tapped. I also did an investigation with Dawn again, where we did another pub. This was way out in the middle of nowhere in Kent. And we went in there, and there was an apparition of a First World War soldier that used to appear to the landlady all the time. She said she didn't feel anything negative from him, and why should she? He's just a young man who sadly must have been killed in battle, and he was just coming back to somewhere that he loved. And she said he just stands there when I go down to bottle up or change the pumps and on the barrel, and he just stands there and he looks at her. She said he looks very sad, very sad. And she, even to the point where one of the locals went down to help her shift some. He went down to shift some crates, and she heard smash. Crate was thrown on the floor. He was up the steps and out the cellar as quick as possible. She went up to see what it was. He said, I've just seen a young guy there, like a soldier. He was standing there and he was looking at you." She went, "Yeah, I know, I've told you about him." She went, "He's not going to harm you. He's absolutely fine." So she was quite au fait with him. She was okay. She was happy. And I said, "Well, what does he do?" And she said, "Well, he stands over there. He just stands over there." So I said to her, "Well, look, if he's standing there every time you see him, then on that spot," she went, "Yeah, that spot. He doesn't do anything, he just looks sad." So I said to her, "Well, what you need to do then, if it were me, I would look under the spot that he's standing, because there might be something down there that will give you an indication of who he is. He might be trying to tell you or let you know that something's down there, or standing guard over something, that he put there in his lifetime." So I said, "What's under there?" She went, "Well, actually," she said, "now you mention it," she went, "that's the old cellar. But the old cellar's not been open for, 100 years, maybe more." So my best guess would have been that he's put something down there. I never knew the full culmination of what happened there, whether she'd opened it or not. But yeah, I think she moved on anyway. But this young soldier's there to this day, I believe, from various things that I've heard. But I saw him, or myself and Dawn saw him, move across the bar, and you could work out the silhouette of a cap and like a military cap, and you could see his silhouette move across. It looked like a uniform. It was like a normal person standing in a very, very dark shadow, but the shadow just encompassed him. So we saw him move across as well. So yeah, I've seen about 3 or 4 apparitions, 2 with great clarity, as I say, and 2, or maybe more than 2 actually, maybe thinking about it, because I saw about 3 or 4 in that pub in Essex. So maybe 4 or 5, I guess. But yeah, but I'm very loath to say that I've seen stuff like that unless I can unless I have. You know, I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh yeah, I see spirits all the time. They come out the woodwork. Not the case, I'm afraid. Not for me anyway. And I doubt that's the case for many people. But yeah, but that's the sort of things that I've seen and experienced. But over 28, 29 years nearly. And to be honest with you, that's not a lot, is it? But that's generally the amount of activity I think that a person should see. But yeah, that's about it really. I'm sorry it can't be any more exciting. I'm sorry I haven't said to you, oh yeah, and I saw this coaching horses with a headless horseman and they were riding, screaming with fire coming out of the nostrils of the horses across this road. Or I saw 50 Napoleonic soldiers walking down the road. I haven't. I really haven't. I'd like to, but I haven't. But that's it really. I hope that answers your question. I've gone for far too long as I always do. But yeah, that's it. So, till next time, thanks very much, guys, and I'll speak to you later on.